I just placed my first trade of the year this weekend. There's no insight, there's no certainty, right? It's just a real trade executed in real time with defined risk and an unknown outcome. In this week analysis, I'll walk you through the current market context, as usual, the opportunity that led to that trade, exactly where I entered and where my stop is. And this trade may win or lose, and that's the point, right? Trading is not about knowing what will happen next. It's about evaluating opportunities, defining the risk before the outcome, and executing consistently despite the uncertainty. And this is how I actually trade. There's no after the fact explanation. There's no look how good it was, it worked out. No, this is a trade that I just placed and we'll see what happens, right? I don't know. So it's just about process, discipline, and probability, right? Alongside the usual weekly analysis. Remember to subscribe for more insights like this. Let's dive in. Starting with the analysis of gold. So we're going to run through the usual market analysis, and towards the end, I will share that trade that I mentioned, okay? All right, so starting with gold, so actually we can remove a little bit of the drawing we had there. So yeah, gold decided to still go in a straight line, and so our scenario initially for longer consolidation didn't quite happen yet. However, last week was like we had a sharp correction, right? That's a big candle that's down. So yeah, it might be a simple pause in the momentum, right? If we look at the geopolitical context and everything happening in the world, there is still, I would say, a strong storytelling, a strong story that that would basically propel gold and precious metals further high, right? But we don't know, right? The only thing that I look at as every week, I'm not doing any prediction. I am just looking at what the chart is telling me. And again, the charts translate people's emotions, right? The charts are an expression of what are people doing, and yeah, their emotion, they are buying and selling. This is all we're doing here. So yeah, a sharp correction there. Now we'll need to see over the next few weeks, are we gonna head deeper and have correction around that bottom right there, or are we gonna have something that is gonna stabilize a little bit for a few weeks before a breakout? I don't know, right? I don't know. I just know that these are possible scenarios. And that's usually what I observe on stocks, right? That's usually what I observe. So we will see. But definitely, a bit on the brakes for gold for the past week. But, this is not questioning at all the upward trajectory and the current bullish trend for gold. Not at all. Moving on to silver, a bit of the same story. We did have, the last week, right? The week prior, a massive week. This was a 13% plus candle. That's massive, right? And well, yeah, as expected, this week we had a bit of a I would say backslash, and it's a big pause, right? You see that the price gap down, it opened around right there, so that's where it closed the previous week. Last week, so this Monday this week, basically it opened right there, and that's basically the amplitude plus minus that the price oscillated between, and it basically closed exactly where it opened. So that basically this candle, the type of candle is called a doji, and it means it usually translates into uncertainty. And we can see that, and it's logical, right? If you see how many strong week of upsides we've had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so almost a month and a half of really one unidirectional move on silver. So with a massive, the biggest yet week 2 weeks ago, so it is understandable that you have profit taking and you have uncertainty settling in, right? Is this going to head higher? Is this going to pause? Is this going to drop? Well, we don't know, but as usual, this marks the start potentially of a correction, And looking at how steep that move up was, it would be healthy to see that consolidate for some time, right? So we have a resistance level right there. Why there? Because that's the previous high, right? So usually previous high is a level that people are observing. It's a psychological level, and you have quite a bit of profit taking there. When you have consolidation like that and price basically drops, it's people that were in profit taking these profits out. So basically they are selling their asset, makes the price drop. You have more people joining in, pushing the price up. Buyers like, hey, you know, this is cheap. Let's buy it out and let's make some profit, because silver was such in a strong uptrend, right? And when you reach the key level, usually you have people, shorter term traders, who would take profit at the previous key level, because, like I said, it's psychological. It's a bit harder to cross oftentimes. So you can see it previously, right? If you look at past consolidation, you see the high was there on that candle, and then price just touched, and you see retracted, right? We had another push, it retracted, right? And then it broke through. After it broke through, it unleashed a very strong run, right? This is not systematic, but this happens often, right? Here, that same thing, right? High, reach near the high, profit taking, right? You can draw actually mini resistance lines above these candles, and you see where the profit taking is happening, right? A bit of the same here. High, profit taking. It tried to push through, couldn't, right? So this is what we have here, right? It's normal that some people are taking profit after such a strong run. So a consolidation going sideways like that would be basically the expression of people buying low, selling high when we are nearing the resistance level, because they are basically offloading the risk, right? We don't know if price is going to push past, but there is a strong chance that price usually, 2, 3, 4 times might retry. And some people are basically trading, thinking that, okay, I'm going to grab it here, and when it retries and reach near that level, I'm going to take profit. And that usually is going to basically create consolidation, right? The ups and down. And eventually, if enough people are holding on, are buying and are holding the line, the sellers get exhausted, and the buyers, basically the bulls, win the fight, clear the resistance level, and that can unleash a strong move. And when that gets clear, it's in the news, people talk about it. People who do graphic analysis such as this also might see that as a signal to join in, and that's what creates moves like that. And this is how I trade. This is how I look at charts. So silver definitely pausing right there. I think next week will tell us, like, are we going to have a stronger correction, or are we going to hold? Around there, right? So let's observe the next few weeks. Moving on to the stock market now with the S&P 500. And yeah, we had a week of decline a little bit. We are still in that sideways consolidation, right? We couldn't clear quite the previous high. So we are still going through the kind of preferred scenario, which is a multi-month consolidation with a potential breakout on Q1 next year. I mean, this year, we're already in 2026. So Happy New Year to everyone watching. Forgot about that. So multi-month consolidation with a potential break in Q1, which would resume the bull market and which would allow us to increase the risk again on our trades for the American market. Moving on to NASDAQ now. Similar story with NASDAQ. We are also going sideways. So I'm going to remove that. We are going sideways, lateral consolidation. We haven't quite yet revisited the previous high. Preferred scenario would be something like that. As always, I like to see a contraction of volatility, and I explained that actually previously when we talked about silver, right? What are these basically? What do these sideways consolidation mean? And they translate people's psychology. So feel free to go and rewatch that. But that's what it means, right? And at the basic level, right? Here we are not, we're not rocket scientists. I'm not trying to do anything very complex. I'm not trying to predict, right? I'm just reading what happens, and based on that, I take action accordingly. I modify my risk management. I'm going to modify if I'm in a trade. Depending on what the price does, I'm going to manage the trade accordingly. And there is no prediction, right? We look for clear signals. We look for confirmation. And then we observe what happened and we react, right? And that's it. Sometimes we benefit a little, sometimes we lose a little. And in some rare occasions, these asymmetric opportunities that we expose ourselves to are going to pay big time, right? They are going to make most of the performance of the portfolio. And so that's what we do here as well in my analysis. I do that for myself every week. It's just that now I've decided to share that with you and to talk over my thought process, right? So these are the things that I want to see, right? That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it would be ideal and very healthy for the market to continue. Let me give you a counter example, right? So as you can see here, when the bull market started in 2024, so we had extraction of this like large kind of cup and handle, but this lasted for almost 2 years, right? Since 2022. 1 year, 2 years, we extracted. So that was kind of the go signal. Okay, bull market has started. We can be aggressive again with risk management. The screeners were getting full. We're getting fuller, more opportunities, better trades, and so on, right? So you can see that the price here is making this sideways consolidation, right? We have one here. We had another one there, you see? So the price is making this consolidation, right? And this is healthy. This is what allows the trend to sustain, right? So that's what we want to see, right? We want to see something that's going to oscillate. You see, I mean, here's a good example. We had quite a severe drop. It corrected, and then toward the end, you see that the volatility is decreasing, right? We have really a decrease in volatility before the break, and once it clears the level, pullbacks, but stays above, and that's it, right? And like the opposite example is what we had this year. A very sharp drop, right? Like really, really, really sharp drop, and then sharp, basically bounce back in the direction of the trend, like a V, right? This is what we call like a V bottom. And well, usually actually this extended for quite a while, right? And that was quite a smooth trend before we consolidated there. So this can happen. I'm not saying it cannot, but usually when you have a strong bounce and a unilateral move, it cannot be sustained over time, right? You're going to have eventually it's going to snap and correct. So I would say this is like an exception, but you can see how severe that drop was and how severe the recovery was. What we prefer to, this is difficult. If you would see that on a stock, you can't really trade that. It's difficult to expose yourself to that because of the volatility, right? That means that this is uncertain time. There's really no disagreement. Like people basically freaked out, they panicked, they sold, and now they buy back, and it just goes in a straight line. There's no clear level to. I mean, you could enter here, but there's no clear level to necessarily place your stop. This hasn't been consolidating with a reduction in volatility for long enough, so we have something explosive. It might be this actually has a lot of steam, right? So if like me, we are trading breakouts, once it clear key levels, then it means you would enter right there. If that was a stock, right? I don't trade indices, but if that was a stock, you would enter right there. But look at how much momentum has already exhausted, right? That's behind. The move started from all the way down there, pumped all the way up there, then broke, and then you're buying. So you're buying at a very high point on like that trend, right? And that has used up a lot of fuel, a lot of steam. So basically, statistically, the odds are not in your favor. They are against you that this keeps going for a while. And it did here, right? But that is why we want to see things like that. That is why we want to see a correction. So that's a sideways consolidation, correction, drop, recovery, and then a clear level where the price is going to play tennis. There's a tennis match going on there. Volatility is contracting, right? Which basically means like we had a move down, a move up, and then it's pausing. So the next move, should it clear that key level, the next move is gonna start from here. So you're gonna have potentially a lot of steam behind it. You're starting from the beginning, right? Unlike here, where you're starting from very far away. Anyway, so that's all for consolidation, but that's kind of like how I look at it and how I look at trading. Analysis now of DAX, and nothing much to add this week. I mean, look, we are really still in our scenario. I can just slide this to the side with DAX, who's not just in this beautiful sideways consolidation. It's been going on for a year and a half already. No, sorry, it's been going on for like 6 months plus, right? And I mean, it's beautiful. This doesn't happen very often on indices, right? Beautiful. It's in this tight range over there. We are now back to the upper range. You can see it's having trouble to clear it. So what would be really, really good is to see a reduction in volatility, just as I explained, and a break. And that would allow us to be, again, aggressive with our risk management, more aggressive on the German stocks. Analysis of the CAC 40 now, the French index. And the French index is still very much holding the line. Let me remove these. So again, we extracted from this large base, large sideways consolidation that lasted a year and a half. Reduction in volatility toward the end, just like we mentioned. We like to see that clean, powerful break, clearing that key level. Pull back, and now we are consolidating above that key level. So what I'd like to see now is, so definitely we are going sideways, so I would call that a range market, right? It's definitely go in a range, right? Upper range, lower range. It's going sideways, it's playing tennis, but the volatility has really dropped, right? Look at the size of these candles. It was also the end of the year, but that's great. So now what I'd love to see, as always, is something like this. I want to see the volatility reducing, and the basically toward the end, I want to see the range basically tightening, volatility tightening, and then a break. And a close above that level for me would mean that we are likely to have another bullish leg on the CAC 40, and I would be more aggressive if I find stocks on the French index. That's what it means. Moving on to cryptocurrency now, currencies, and I'm gonna change it. Did I? Yes, to logarithmic scale. So starting with Bitcoin, and nothing much to add. We are there in a range with Bitcoin. Maybe we are seeing actually the burst of a triangle right there. And yeah, price is basically going sideways, consolidating after this massive drop. So that means that at least, the buyers are still there. It's holding the line. And it's likely we're going to see something like this. It would be healthy, right? Considering the strength of the legs that we've had. And again, this is in logarithmic, but this is much more dramatic, right? If you put it in linear. So it would be healthy to have something that lasts longer. I think Q2, towards Q2 this year, this summer would be great to have basically a consolidation such as this, again, reduction and break, right? And this is what we had before, right? Consolidation, a bit of reduction toward the end, not dramatic, and that was beautiful. There as well, cup, handle, reduction, break. So we would like to see something like that. Right now, definitely range market. I'm not exposed on cryptocurrencies, and I'm waiting to see what happens. Analysis of Ethereum, it's pretty much the same thing, right? We had this big drop in October, November. Now we are consolidating. We are between, let's say, around like that we have level there or there. I don't know. But we are definitely we found some support there, and we are pausing. And it's likely that it's it would be healthy and good to see something like that happening. And towards summer, Q2 this year to have a break to resume basically the bull market. So we will find out. Analysis of the XRP now. And yeah, look at this. Our XRP is still holding the line very much. This key level there is still holding. Still holding. Yeah, I don't need to move it at all. It's still holding. So which means we are in this wedge, this kind of like triangle where price is being funneled basically and is contracting, right? And this is great. It's really good because, as a reminder, XRP has been in a massive triangle since between 2018 and end of 2024, right? Towards the end, look at that tight range, contraction, volatility, right? Look at these big swings. The swings get lower and then lower, 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 break. We broke out of the range. We broke out of the triangle. We had basically the volatility was unleashed, right? Massive run up. I think this was almost like 5x, I think, 5x move. And then we hit basically resistance on the previous high, as you can see right there. And as I explained before, previous highs, especially all-time highs such as this, which is the highest price that this asset has ever reached, are psychological and key levels. You're going to have people that are going to take profit right there, and it can be many reasons. It can be, technical graphical analysis such as I'm doing. So you have traders which are, taking position somewhere there and they are offloading profit somewhere there, right? It can be also people who have been exposed, who bought during a massive run up during their climax, right? These are people who are getting overly excited. It's going vertical. Everybody's buying. So if you've bought around there in 2018, well, the price never, the price just dropped, bear market, horrible, another push there, but never quite made it, right? So when you reach basically the all-time high, you have people who have been at a loss for all these years that might also be offloading profit. And you can see that it's been very difficult to cross that, right? You can see the weak price dipped above, came back, dipped above, came back, came back again, right? You see massive profit taking, massive selling, but you still had buyers holding on. And these things are people's, again, prices translates people's emotions, people's how they think, what they're doing on the market. So this is an expression of people's psychology, of the operator's psychology. That's what the charts tell us. And similar thing here, right? This is a resistance level, and as you can see, this is not something that I called everybody to ask, guys, are you using that as a resistance level? No, this is something I see on the chart, right? See that the price has tried to push down, didn't quite make it. Tried to push down, didn't quite make it. Same thing here as well. So I'm drawing a line because it seems to be a level which is holding on, right? And that allows me to make these projections, and these scenarios that I have in my mind. So again, for XRP, we are building now this triangle, hopefully with a reduction in volatility, and toward this summer as well, a break. And that would be a really good setup to take position, speculative position, a trade on XRP, right? With a potential upside right there, could be maybe another 4x or something around $15. And where do that come from? Well, from here, right? I basically took the amplitude from the bottom there. Actually, I could have gone deeper, but from the start of the move all the way to all-time high to that peak, right? And I just copy pasted that. So rational is it did that in the past, meaning it could do it again. It doesn't mean that it will, it means that it's possible. And these are cryptocurrencies, extremely volatile, so it is possible. I do not know if that will happen. If it does, I do not know if it will go that way. Maybe further, maybe not, right? Again, it's just experience and graphical analysis. And finally, we're going to have a quick look at the dollar index. And nothing much to add other than, we are pausing here. So we had this this small drop there from around 100, and we are consolidating, going sideways. So right now this scenario is still holding, right? We had a double bottom, maybe we have a double, triple, like double bottom cup, kind of 1, 2, and then maybe we're gonna have a longer handle and a break. And again, for the dollar index, we are definitely in an upward channel, right? So if we look at the past amplitude there of the previous up move, right, that we report there from the bottom of where we are, right, it's similar here, right? We have a similar double bottom handle break. We have something similar here, right? Double bottom or maybe triple bottom handle, maybe break. So we are just copying the amplitude of that move and reporting it there for maybe a move of similar intensity, right? I don't know, but again, that happened in the past, so it could happen again. This allows us just to set some kind of like target and to estimate basically, how far an asset could run potentially, right? Can go way further, right? Can also not go as far, but it's a realistical target and amplitude that is used in graphical analysis. All right, transitioning now to talking about the first trade of the year that I took. So I'm going to talk about the first trade of 2026, first trade that I took. And this happened this weekend because, as you know, I'm taking, I look at markets when they are closed, right? I trade off a weekly time frame, so that's the beauty of it. So I do not need to look at the markets during the day. I do not need to monitor actively my trades. I just have a quick look every day and I do my routine screening, placing trades, managing my trades under 30 minutes every day. That's all it takes. So yeah, actually we just had a good opportunity popping up this weekend. So I'm just gonna take you through it. We're gonna go through basically the reason why this trade looks good. We're gonna go through the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements of an explosive trade. I have a separate video on that, so feel free to go and watch it if you want more details. So I'll quickly run through that. And yeah, I'll show you where I place entry and stop and why. And that's about it. So a disclaimer first, right? This is how I trade. This is like the real reality of me trading and doing my thing every day. So right there, I have a resting order, right? I placed that order yesterday on Saturday while doing my screening. And hopefully this will be executed on Monday. So I will be in the trade. I do not know if that trade is going to work out or not. I do not know, right? I do know that by doing this consistently, following these 6 elements, by training my eyes through screening, through a database of great charts, great opportunity that I compile myself, I get better and better, and I know that exposing myself to these setups statistically gives me great odds of making money. That's all it is. This could be a losing trade, right? I do not know. There are many people on the internet and on YouTube that will show you like amazing trades and so on, and is extremely easy to do with hindsight. Once you know what happens, you can do whatever you want. You can make as much money as you want with hindsight, right? Fictive money. But real trading looks like this. We don't know what's going on there on the right side of the chart, and that we'll figure it out as the weeks go by. And I have no idea if this trade is going to work. But I know that based on the way I trade, my strategy, and how I look at charts, I have good chances. It could be a small win, it could be a small loss, it could also be a massive win, right? I don't know. I will manage my trade according to the 4 scenarios that any trade can take shape of, and I have a separate video on that as well if you want. So now that being said, let's look at this trade, right? So this stocks is on the Spanish market. It's COFP. I forgot how it's called. COFB is the ticker. Forgot the name of the company. No, actually, it's on the Belgium market. It's on the Euronext Brussels, I think, and I think it's a real estate company. So, interestingly, this stock has been going down for quite a few years, right? Since like 2020, basically 2022, it's been going down, and then we had this large base forming sideways consolidation. You know, people taking profit. People buying, taking profit, buying. And then earlier this year, we had a clear break off that base. It broke that key level. I drew it here. We could have drawn it maybe there with massive, actually I'm going to add the volumes. There you go. So we extracted off that large base with massive volumes. I mean, absolutely massive, right? So why is that important? Because basically around there was no interest, not much interest in the stock, right? This has been going downhill, nobody's looking at it. You might have people accumulating there, but you know, it's a bit erratic, nothing's going on. I haven't actually checked what happened there in April, but this is very likely following strong results in news. Could be acquisition, merger, a big contract that dropped, or something positive, right? Usually there's a positive news flow tied to that. And we had, look at this. I mean, this going up, right? Started from there. We had strong candle there. We had another big one there. And then massive one that broke that key level. And we held above that level, and that's very important. So that means we went from a bear market, bearish outlook, to a ranging outlook, but still at the bottom, at the bottom of the drop. And we had a clear break, a clear run up for more than a year, right? A clear run with almost almost 100%, I think, a bit less. From the low of 48 to as high as 80, right? So a bit less than 100% run up. And what that means with volume, with strong candles like that, it means we have a change in momentum. We are moving away from this bearish kind of sideways outlook to a strong upward momentum. And this, the volumes tell us that there is now certain interest. Something happened that changed, that helped basically change the configuration of that graph. It means that more buyers came in. So we had a strong break, strong momentum up, right? You can see that. That's the number one of the 6 elements, strong momentum up. And we are consolidating now above that key level of that large base. So we are definitely now, we are at the start of a bullish phase. We are consolidating above, and that consolidation is clean. That's number 2. We want a clean consolidation pattern. And we have a beautiful cup. So that's the cup here. And handle, right? I can draw it for you. A cup and the handle. We have that very much there. It's beautiful. Number 3 that we have is a obvious, clear and obvious resistance line. We have that the price never closed and penetrated much that level. You can see how many times it's bouncing off that level, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, that's a lot, right? So we had something that extracted itself from that large base, strong run up, right? It's stuck a bit there, profit taking, run up again. That's basically the nature of like cup and handle, right? That's what it's made of. Run up again, more profit taking, but less this time, forming the handle, and then break. So number 4 there is contraction, reduction of volatility. So the first indication there is the Bollinger Bands. Look how tight they are. They are pinching, they are horizontal. Look how tight this is, right? And this is horizontal for quite a while. So that means that this pattern is mature enough. It means that it's long enough. And we have also reduction in volatility toward the end of the pattern with the handle, which is contrasting with the cup. So we have a beautiful handle in one, maybe two double bottom before the breakout, and the breakout is number 5. We want a clear signal, a clear breakout, which is going to tell us, all right, this consolidation is over. We have cleared the key level. We have a strong close above the level, resuming the uptrend, and not too far so that we would enter, too far away with our stop our stop too far away as well, and it would be too risky to enter because the amount of momentum that has been used up is too much, as I explained before. And also not too low, right? We want to have a break that you don't want something that close too low, too close from the resistance line, right? Because that's not going to be clear enough. You don't know if it's just a little excess and it's going to go back down or not. So you want a clear close, and that is perfect. It's really not too big. It's not small at all. It's just really, really clear. So that's our number 4. And number 5, sorry, a clear breakout. And now if I drop in a daily time frame, we want to have volumes. And right there on that, yes, like that, that's the proper way to draw it. And right there on our break, you can see we had a little few candles shy. It's like a bit shy, we don't have much volume. And there, on that candle, it closes clearly above. There's nothing else behind there. We are on we cleared everything. And we have increasing volumes. We have a clear increase in volumes. If you draw actually a moving average of the volume, you will see that this is higher than the average volume. Look at the size of that volume bar is higher than most of the bar from before, right? That's what you want. You want a clear breakout with volume, and that's number 6, and we had it. So I'll go back to my weekly time frame. So that's it. That's like, this might not be the most pristine, best, like pattern, whatever, but it has everything, in my opinion, to take position. So that is why I did. That is why I took position right there. And my entry is above the high of the breakout, and my stop is below the last low. And that's about it. That's the first trade of the year. Now, what I'm gonna do is my routine every day in the morning, and I'm gonna monitor, okay, has my resting order been executed? So am I in the trade or not? I'm gonna look at how price develops. Is it gonna reach a level where I can take partial profits? Is it gonna shape up? Which of the 4 ways the trend develop is it gonna shape up into? That will affect how I manage my trade. And I also have a separate video on my trading routine if you'd like to know how I do that every day. So that's about it. First trade of the year. I don't know if it's gonna be a winner. Of course, I hope so. But time will tell, and if this one doesn't work out, others will. The point is to repeat a process to have a repeatable decision-making process, right? Something you can reproduce without too much judgment, without too much effort or question. Like criteria you're gonna follow that are gonna be fairly consistent every time you trade, and this is what will allow you to capitalize and to overall on average make money. That's what trading is, right? It's not about certainty. I do not know, like I said, if this trade is gonna work. I'm sharing it with you also a bit as an experiment, but I'm being honest and transparent, right? That's something I took. Now, is it gonna work out? We will see. It has good chances. I will keep you posted. Now it's out there, so we'll see. And if it doesn't work, that's okay, right? It's part of trading. You win some, you lose some. So that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to learn more about this, feel free to watch the other videos. Head over to the website, drop your mail for more news, and also subscribe to that channel. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.